Hello, everyone. Welcome to Casey's Corner. My name is Casey Kendel. Thank you for joining us today. We've got Andy from Arizona Gold Standard Inspections out of Gilbert, Arizona. But we are coming to you from the 1010 Studios located here in Gilbert. Before we talk with Andy, I want to plug my book, Commercial Insurance Simplified, a real-world approach for small business owners. You can grab that on Amazon. It gives you all the details for any type of small business that has commercial insurance related needs. So let's jump into it. Andy Avila,
Yes.
Arizona Gold Standard Inspections. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Let's jump right in. I want to get to your background, but first I got kind of a burning question. Most people just think like a home inspection is a checklist. What is something missing that could cost a homeowner thousands of dollars, either in the purchase or the sale of a house?
Well, I think that it depends a lot on what type of inspector you get. If you get an inspector who inspects the home as if he's purchasing it or she, you're going to get a lot more in depth. You're going to get a lot more detailed reports. If you're, getting an inspection done from, let's say a big box company, they have 20 or 30 inspectors. You don't really know what you're going to get in those regards. It could be someone who had a bad night, their dog ate their shoes, and that can impact your home inspection in a negative way. Being owner-operator, I really take a lot of great pride and integrity and honesty in our inspection process and make sure that every stone is unturned. I'm there to try to find something. Every house has hidden defects, and it's just a matter of finding them. So I think that what makes or breaks an inspection is really the integrity and the ambition of your inspector.
Interesting. And I bet you see a lot of crazy stuff. I'm going to ask you a few questions about some of the craziest stuff. But first, tell us a little bit about your background and how you got into home inspection.
So my background stems from electrical. I worked at SRP for 5 years. I was joined in the lineman apprenticeship program. So I was, climbing poles, trying to be a lineman. Turns out I just, I don't think that was a good fit. And I think it's proven itself now, later in life. But at the time, I was gung-ho set on that course. I was really good at it. I enjoyed it. I loved it. But it was really hard on the body. And a lot of the linemen that I worked with, yes, they make great money, but they were also spending a lot of money on prescriptions and things like that I saw it and just kind of said, you know what, I want to preserve my body as long as I can. It's not worth any money to beat your body up. You only have one.
Yeah.
And it doesn't regenerate in most cases. So
I have noticed a lot of electricians in the inspection space. Is that kind of a trend?
So I think that having trade knowledge, it doesn't matter what trade you're from. I've had a lot of people come to me asking that who are looking to get into inspections. And they've been white collar their whole life, sitting at a desk, perhaps, maybe selling insurance or something like that. But they see home inspection videos and they think, oh, that looks like fun. I can go do that. And while it is fun, and they probably could go do that, having a background knowledge, at least of some trade, helps immensely. Whether it be carpentry, plumbing, HVAC, roofing, it doesn't matter. But getting from white collar straight into the inspection business can be pretty difficult because there's so many facets to a home inspection. It's not just electrical. It's not just plumbing. It's everything encompassed into one.
Yeah. How many? What types of properties are you inspecting?
So we're inspecting resale residential properties. We specialize in new build construction. So we do offer multiple stages of inspections for the new build properties. We can come out before they even pour the foundation, inspect all the, make sure that it's correct before they pour the foundation. Then we can come back after the foundation's poured, check that out. There's also a pre-drywall inspection and a final walk inspection and an 11-month inspection.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's quite the process. So before the foundation, is that more of like spraying pre-emergence and those types of things? Or is it more like hey, how compact is this soil?
Yes, both. So we're looking to make sure that termite treatment was applied and adequately applied for that square footage before they pour. We're also checking the form boards, making sure they're secured properly, checking all the post-tension cables, making sure they're not resting on each other and supported properly. But you can catch a lot of deficiencies in the early stages of the new build process if you're proactive about the inspections.
I would imagine a lot, and being in the insurance field, I've seen a lot, and Arizona has like construction defect laws, and that can really affect like subcontractors and those types of things. And I won't bore you with the details of those, but I would think that it all starts with like not, obviously the foundation, but how important the framing is,
Yes.
even making sure that you're hitting all the nails and those types of things.
Absolutely. We'll go in there and find warped or twisted studs, walls that are out of bow, that are bowed already. So as soon as they put drywall on that and a baseboard, you're going to see that bow. So if we can catch it in the framing stages before, it not only speeds up construction times, but it also helps close that home quicker because they don't have to come back in after tile is already laid and fix a wall that's not straight. Then you have to fix the tile as well. So
Oh, wow. So it just compounds.
it compounds. If you don't catch it at the beginning, yes, you can have 3 or 4 trades needing to come out to fix one thing that one trade is responsible for, such as framing.
Now, I really want to go into new builds. I've got an entire section about that. But first, what is some of the biggest mistakes that a buyer can make during the inspection process?
One of the first mistakes is going into if you're looking at new builds and you're going to look at the new builds without your realtor. Don't go look at new builds without a realtor. That's mistake number one. In Arizona, if you don't have a realtor already, when you go there to look at them, you're now assigned a realtor from the builder side.
Someone who works for the builder
Yes.
is now going to represent your needs.
Yes.
That sounds a little the conflict of interest, but continue, sir.
Yes, it can be, most certainly. So mistake number one is going to look at a new build without representation. That's very important. Number two is skipping the inspection process altogether. And again, we're touching on new builds again, but a lot of new builds out here, they're telling clients, hey, don't worry, we're going to get everything fixed. It's going to be great. We're your best buds. We love you. We're here for you. Mm-hmm. They are until closing.
And until they're not.
Until closing.
Yeah.
And then it's
absolutely.
crickets. So.
Every time I open up a project in my house, and I feel like my house is an ever-evolving project, but I always have to remind myself that this was probably built with the cheapest material and the cheapest labor at the worst time in the economy. Because I find something new where I'm like, that's interesting. And I always just blame the person I bought it from. But I think ultimately it comes down to how it was built in 20-something years ago.
Absolutely. And were they doing quality checks 20-something years ago?
What's something that a homeowner will typically overlook?
A homeowner typically overlooks any additional services. So inspecting the landscape and drip system is not included in a home inspection. Conducting a sewer scope of the main waste line, that's not included in a home inspection. So I think overlooking those services, mainly because of the price tag that's associated with them, people are spending a lot of money to get this house. So skimping on the inspection process, not recommended. That's when things can get overlooked very easily if they're not inspected.
Well, I think that, especially as we see here in Gilbert, and quite frankly, all over Arizona, the water, I don't know if you can call it a crisis at this point, but definitely the cost of water and trash and sewers going up. It seems like that would be worth it, like to either identify a leak, potential leak, those types of things.
Absolutely. And the main waste line is a big one because you can't see it, and you can run plumbing fixtures the whole time you're at the inspection and it may not back up. But as soon as you put a camera down there, you may be able to find some root intrusion, some collapse. Even on new build sewer lines, every new build should get a sewer scope as well.
I saw a sewer scope one time that the drain was relatively clear, except at a certain point, there was a pile of eggshells that had basically calcified because eggshells are calcium. and was blocking the sewer. So there's a rule in my house: nothing goes down that drain except
Yeah.
water.
Yeah, throw your eggshells in the trash. But during the construction process as well, especially even in a resale property, say you've been in your home for 20 years and you want to remodel the bathroom. Well, if they don't protect that drain cover, some construction debris can go down that drain. So even after you get a remodel in your house, it may be beneficial to have a sewer scope conducted. It's only $200, but it can help hold those contractors accountable for that debris that was put down there. I've actually found screwdrivers in waste lines.
Wow.
On a brand new home.
Wow. Can an inspection kill a deal?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So inspections can kill deals. I've seen it. It doesn't happen all that often. I think that, and it depends on the buyer. Some buyers are very on edge from the beginning. They have a lot of questions, a lot of fears. Now, as a home inspector, we play a lot of roles. A good home inspector does, where you're not there to make the deal go through. We don't care if you don't buy the house or if you buy the house. Our job is to give you all of the information so you can make an educated decision on one of the biggest investments of your life. And if you decide that that is too much stuff on the report, then by all means, that's your decision. Then that contract should fall through. If you're not fully set on that property based off of our findings, yes, that's a red flag. Now, how we explain those findings, that makes all the difference. And that's how it varies from inspector to inspector. Every defect that we bring to the table, we bring a solution right behind it. So it's never, hey, there's a big foundation crack here, I wouldn't buy the house, it's going to fall down. Never. What we do is we observe that crack. We recommend that a structural foundation specialist takes a look at that, or a structural engineer, and evaluates it and makes their judgment on it. That provides the clients with the most value, but also keeps us out of those crosshairs as far as, hey, we're rating this as a 9 out of 10 when we have no structural engineering experience. We're not licensed to say that. So a lot of times, yes, deals can collapse right in front of your face, but a lot of times it's not the information you're telling, it's how you're telling it.
So you've mentioned a couple of things now. One, the roof, two, the foundation. I assume probably the pool as well. Are those something that you have to bring in like an outside source for?
So we've gone through a lot of training to be able to keep everything in-house. What I don't like doing is subcontracting work out. I want to be hands-on with it from point A to point Z.
Absolutely.
That's it. We can guarantee quality that way. We can guarantee a lot of facets about it. We can guarantee that we're going to get there on time when we say we are. There have been times where I used to subcontract work out and they didn't show up, or they needed to reschedule, or something happened. Well, that's a direct reflection of me and my company, and that's how the clients see it. They don't care what's going on with that other guy.
100%.
What happens is that they paid me for a service that now they're not getting. So no, that's done. That's never happening again. And if I can go through extra trainings and pay for that education to gain the knowledge to be able to evaluate something efficiently, then I'll do that. I'll put the time in, put the effort in to be able to upgrade our portfolio as far as services are concerned.
That's awesome. We are going to take a quick break to hear from our sponsor, and we're going to come back. And I really kind of want to break down more of that new build process, because I mean, especially out here in Arizona, building houses like crazy. But I think anybody that's on social media has seen, maybe a new build isn't as clean and committed to the process as you would think that it would be.
And they're not, but I have tons of information to share right after the sponsors.
Perfect. All right, let's take a break.
Commercial insurance can be complicated, and most business owners don't realize they're exposed until something goes wrong. At Prosperity North Advisors, we work with all types of businesses: startups, established companies, sole proprietors, and teams from 5 to 100 employees. No matter the size or stage of your business, we can handle it. We specialize in assisted living, pest control, and service-based businesses. We know exactly how to handle your risk. Fleet of vehicles, we can help. Work comp challenges, we got you. State or vendor compliance, same day turnaround on your documents. guaranteed. And in most cases, we're helping clients save 15 to 20% while actually improving their coverage. So if you're not 100% confident in your business insurance, it's probably worth a conversation. Prosperity North Advisors. Our mission is to protect your prosperity.
All right. Thank you, Prosperity North Advisors. Any commercial insurance needs, please reach out to us directly. Again, we're talking with Andy Avila from Gold Standard, Arizona Gold Standard Inspections, located here in Gilbert, and a much awaited segment of new builds. And so we've already talked about that process, having just representation from the jump, from the very beginning, and then going through that foundation inspection, the framing, the roof, everything that goes in a new build. Is that different than a resale house that's 20 years old? Are you looking for different things?
Absolutely. So for resale properties, you're going in and looking at all the major components of the home. You're checking structural, roof, electrical, plumbing, all the major components of the home, as well as built-in appliances, things of that nature. What you're not calling out at resale inspections are workmanship deficiencies. So areas where the contractors did not meet the minimum workmanship requirements set by the Register of Contractors in the state of Arizona. So that's the quality that we can provide, and the extra value we can provide to new builds is by having that extra training. We have the ability to go in and not only inspect the home for all the major components, so a new build inspection covers everything a resale inspection does, plus workmanship deficiencies. So having the builder hold their contractors accountable, it helps the builder a lot too, as far as how are their contractors doing? Do they need to have a talk with them on the future projects? It brings up a lot of quality issues on the builder side that they can then address in-house to hopefully better their model going forward.
What's a post inspection look like for a new build? And the only thing that I can think of is, like, I don't know, sometimes I hear my house creak and crack and I'm like, oh, that's just the house settling, because that's what my dad told me it was. But that settling means something. And so in a new build, what are you commonly seeing, I don't know, like a year after?
Well, post-tension slabs tend to crack a lot. So they have hairline cracking. It's a natural thing that occurs to them, especially out here in Arizona.
I heard a long time ago when I did construction and I did concrete and I tied iron, and an old foreman said to me, if you don't want concrete to crack, don't pour it.
Yeah, basically. Now there's a difference between excessive cracking, or what's tolerable,
Fair enough.
versus not. So the concrete mixture could be wrong for that day. Every concrete mix that is applied or poured is custom made for that day at that time.
Based off of temperature.
Temperature, humidity, everything.
I didn't know that.
So if you're ordering concrete today for a job tomorrow and there's no rain on the forecast, but you get there at 6 a.m. when the concrete's showing up and it just happens to be raining, that's an issue, because the concrete was not made, the materials were not composed in such a way with the proper ingredient mix that it can withstand that extra moisture in the air. It was made to be poured during a dry, hot climate. So a lot of times it's not even the contractor's work, it's things out of their hands. But at that point, it should be recalled. We should get a different truck in there with the correct mix before pouring. Now, a lot of times that's not the case because of schedules and construction schedules. Cost. Who's really going to know? Well, we'll know.
Yeah, there you go. I love it. I love it. What's probably the most, what are you seeing on average in a new build? Like, if you walk in 9 out of 10 times, you're going to see this.
9 out of 10 times, there's at least one wall that is not square or plumb. So there is a tolerance for walls, and they can have variances of very small amounts. But for example, if the wall is not straight at the baseboard and it bows out a little bit, it's called a bulge. That's from the framing behind the wall. Now that should have been caught at the framing inspection. That tolerance is no more than 3/8 of an inch in an 8-foot span.
Wow.
So knowing those tolerances provides great value for our inspection process to our clients, for the realtors, and it provides them with, it's not just our opinion on this. Here's the tolerance allowed, and here's 4 or 5 pictures showing a level on the wall. It's showing the measurement of what that level is out, and let's say it's a 4-foot level and it's a ½ inch out. Well, then in 8 feet, it's going to be 1 inch out. So it's clearly out of tolerance.
Yeah.
But those are the most common defects, are framing defects, which again, the one inspection that people pass up the most on new builds is the pre-drywall inspection. And that's when you can catch those items in particular.
Now, if your framing is bad, and when I think of like a framed house, that's really like its skeleton, its spine, its bones, so to speak, you know, and you hear a real estate term, oh, does it have good bones? But if you put a piece of drywall next to another piece of drywall and the framing is off, you're looking at potential cracks and having to come back through. And then, like you said, like not only do I have to have the drywall fixed, but now I got to have this wall painted and probably the entire room to match it and everything else.
Recut.
Yeah.
So a lot of things can compound on that, just that one deficiency that if you catch it early enough, then the rest of the building process can go a lot smoother, as well as the inspection process.
What's what are some of the most expensive things you've uncovered?
I think damage to finishes. So on the final walk inspection, that's when we really touch on all the big ticket items in the home. So countertops, built-in shower enclosures, cabinets. People who are buying new builds, you only have a 10-day warranty on those items inside the house. So for the final walk inspection, that's before someone takes ownership of the house, right before you're getting the keys. That is the time to put a big emphasis on all the big built-in expensive finishes. Because if you're not notifying the builder within 10 days after closing, they can easily blame you for the damage, and then you're out of warranty. So every inspection holds its own weight, and there's different focuses at each inspection for certain reasons. But the most damage I've seen money-wise would be like a large crack in a granite countertop, and they need to replace the whole granite countertop, which can get very costly.
Yeah, it's not cheap.
No, it's not.
No. And what's a small issue that could potentially turn into a big issue that's going to cost a home buyer a lot of money down the line?
I would say not evaluating the floor coverings enough. So with the floor coverings, we go through and we tap the entire house with a tile tapper, and that allows you to hear any hollow spots inside of that tile or underneath the tile where the thin set was not applied correctly. Well, that's a weak point in the tile. So if you hear any hollow spots underneath the tile, that area can, over time, can work loose. That tile can crack. The grout around it can start to crack. Also, if you drop anything, or if it's a high traffic area, that tile is very prone to damage. But also the grout. Soft grout is a big issue in Arizona.
Really?
Certain builders. So actually doing a scratch test of the grout, making sure that it's not too soft. Because if you have too soft of grout, it will start cracking very early on. And if you have any moisture just from mopping, or if you spill a drink or whatever it may be, but just by mopping, you can start getting, the grout will start deteriorating. The tiles can start wiggling loose and popping out. So soft grout is the biggest overlooked, I think. And without going too deep into the new build process again, this is one thing that is not looked at on resales. We're not going into a resale property inspecting the grout for hardness. But because we know what is allowed in the state of Arizona, we inspect that grout on new builds, and that can be a very costly mistake because it's not just removing just the grout. You're going to have to redo the entire floor.
Wow.
So that can be a pretty...
I can't imagine someone going in with like a Dremel and like doing entire grout lines. That just doesn't make sense.
No. So they'll do small spot repairs by hand.
Sure.
Well, they'll chisel out some grout, break the tile up, clear off the slab, and then reapply a new tile. But if the whole house has soft grout, they're going to need to go through the bathroom, the laundry room, everywhere that tile is applied and soft grout is present. They need to rip out the tile and grout and resurface and then lay down new floor coverings. It can be very expensive.
I have never heard that. I appreciate learning something new every single day. What's not covered that people might assume is covered in an inspection?
I get a lot of people asking, well, like I mentioned, did you test the landscape drip system? Well, you didn't pay for the additional service of that, which is a very small fee. So I get people assuming that because it's at the house, it's included. Or, for example, a detached structure. Detached structures are not included in a home inspection. So if you have a 4,000 square foot home and you have a 1,000 square foot pool house, and you're paying for a home inspection at the home, we're only going to inspect that home unless you pay for the detached structure.
Oh, wow.
The detached structure is not included.
Oh, I know that ADUs have become
Very
extremely popular, and it's kind of a controversial subject
For many reasons.
for many reasons, and we won't get into those, probably political. But I didn't know like an ADU wasn't inspected unless ordered.
Right. That's just the beast of the game, and it's stated in the Arizona standard operating practices. So detached structures you do have to pay an additional amount for, but every inspection before it's, right as it's booked, we go on, we take a look at the property. Hopefully it has a Zillow account and we can see everything in and out, and then we can recommend services based off of what we see at that time for that residence. So if I see that it has a pool house, it has a swimming pool, and these things may want to be addressed, then I'll bring it up to the buyers and say, hey, by the way, there is a pool house on the property. Also, there's a pool which can rack up quite a few defects.
I just paid for a pool. Yeah, I get it.
Very expensive, and that's a common overlooked thing as well, where we can come in for $150, inspect the pool, check for any cosmetic defects, but also make sure the plumbing is good, there's no leaks at the pumps, make sure there's GFCI protection in the equipment area, safety features that pertain to the child safety. So we can point out a lot of things about the pool, just the pool itself, which gives that value to the client as far as negotiations are concerned, and if they want to move forward with that purchase.
Yeah, absolutely. Should a buyer, even in a competitive market, waive an inspection? And we kind of talked about this a little bit. And the first thing that shot into my head is like, hey, I'm buying this as is. And, or so am I getting a lemon here? What's your thought on skipping the inspection process?
Never skip the inspection process. Doesn't matter for what type of property or if it's a quick sale, cash as is, doesn't matter. Whether if you think you're going to buy that property, cash sale as is, then you're still going to want a prioritized list of defects after closing on the property. So no matter what, even if it's after you buy the property, like say you had such a great deal that you couldn't pass up,
Sure.
You had to make payment by midnight tonight, do it, and then we can come in afterwards and really inspect it.
Create a punch list.
Create a punch list and a list of priorities as far as, okay, before we renovate that bathroom, maybe we want to get this checked out. Get the insulation updated to the adequate R value. Get the roofing serviced.
When we were going through the process of selling a property, we had a pre-inspection, and that just kind of leads into my next question. But I really utilized that pre-inspection as a punch list. But I kind of picked and chose what I wanted to do and what I was willing to give up, so to speak, in the process. Like, I'm not going to touch the back garage door because it closes and locks.
Sure.
But I'll fix this plumbing here. So is it a good idea for a seller to go through that pre-inspection process? That way they can address those types of things before it becomes an issue and maximize the return?
Yeah, absolutely. So pre-listing inspections are very important for many reasons, but it can speed up the process of trying to sell your home. It shows goodwill, it shows good faith, it shows that you're actually trying to take care of things before they become an issue, but it also shows that you're not handing over a lemon. It shows that you're trying to do right by the buyer. So even if they have a separate inspector come in after the fact, at least you gave them the inspection report that you did, and you can mark off what you did, and it shows that, hey, Casey's willing to take care of these certain things. He may still be willing to take care of a couple more things, but all in all, this was Casey's evaluation of the house. He thinks it's good enough for me, and my inspector came back with really nothing major. Then we're okay to move ahead and continue this process.
I looked at a house with my wife one time, and we actually put an offer in on it. And we ultimately pulled back. There was two reasons. One, foundational cracking along the side of the house. But the other was it had the original AC units in the attic, and all the trusses around that unit were cut out.
Yep.
And they started talking about structural engineers and the process to go. And we looked at it and said, this goes beyond what we're willing to take on.
And there's that threshold for everyone. So getting a structural engineer out is about $500, $700. So it's not terribly expensive. Now the fixes that they offer are dependent on where that truss was cut. You can't just sister a truss together with 2x4. You can't just nail it together.
Just sandwich it. And
although most of the time that is the recommendation by the structural engineer. But still having that reported on a piece of paper from a structural engineer who has the credentials is very important to have, especially if you're looking to sell the home. That can be a negative impact on your selling process as much as it was your buying process, just like it was for the people selling that home. They weren't able to sell it because they didn't want to shell out the money for a structural engineer to come out. When really it's $500. They probably all they needed to do was get a couple squares of OSB, slide them together, nail them in with certain type of nails, certain spacing of nails, follow the structural engineer's requirements, and you're good to go. So it's really not, all structural issues are not created equal, I guess is what I'm trying to get at.
fair enough.
Some are somewhat easy fixes. Some can be more concerning.
And I think technology has come a long way, especially with like foundational issues, where those can be addressed without major construction or opening stuff up.
The tools and methods that they have these days compared to back in the day, it is profound. So that's why, again, with foundation cracking, I don't mark it as, oh my gosh, this is a crazy thing, because everything has a solution. It's really just how you look at it and how you present it. There is a solution for everything these days.
Absolutely. What if someone's going through either that pre-inspection or let's say they're selling their house and they got an inspection and now they're looking at their punch list, what's the best items to address that will immediately return on your investment?
I would say roofing and HVAC, especially here in Arizona. So roof is a big one. A lot of roofs don't get updated because people overlook them. They're not getting on their roofs once a year. They're not getting on their roofs once every other year. They're never getting on their roofs. So I think
I've never been on my roof. I've owned my house for 14 years. I don't want to get up there.
Don't get up there.
2 stories up.
Don't get up there. But what I recommend is to have a roofing contractor come out once a year. Most roofing companies give free evaluations. Granted, they're going to try to sell you a roof, but nonetheless, they're going to take pictures and pinpoint problem areas for you that you can pick and choose to fix. And you can really extend the life of your roof by doing those maintenance touch-ups, which are easily overlooked by homeowners.
Yeah. Well, how does solar play into an inspection process?
Solar is one of those items as well that is a separate entity of the home. It's not required for home inspectors to inspect solar. So what we do is that's one area that I am not keen enough or enough knowledge base for my liking to be able to say, we will, at AZ Gold Standard inspections, we will inspect your solar. That is one of the only that I contract work to, because it does take a licensed electrician and someone with solar experience to take a look at that system, making sure that it's pulling in the right amount of kilowatts per hour, and they can really dig in deep to it. Same with an HVAC system. So we inspect the HVAC system, but I always recommend, especially if the home's over 20 years old and it's the original AC to the home, I always recommend to have an HVAC tech come out, go into it, deep dive into that unit, because that can be a huge problem for you right after closing and your AC fails. But if it was working while I did the inspection, just by taking the split temperatures, they can check refrigerant levels, they can check the evaporator coils for any sort of leaking. they can dive in a lot deeper. So I would say the biggest return on investment would be putting money into your HVAC system or your roofing system.
Wow.
Those are the biggest negotiating factors.
I know AC and the HVAC system has evolved. You know, I think some of the best negotiating skills my wife and I ever learned was negotiating Freon. And you know, what is it by the pound, until we finally upgraded our air conditioning units to whatever it is now, and it's probably out of
They're using R454B now.
okay.
So your system is probably an R410A
Okay.
system, which replaced R22. R22 is the bad one.
The bad one.
That was banned in the early 2000s.
Okay. I
But
definitely had that one.
there are a lot of those systems still running. I don't like talking about my HVAC system, but I'm one of them. It's almost as old as I am. So that being said, it really comes down to maintenance. And I also think that they built everything with a lot more quality back in the day.
Interesting.
If you're taking care of that unit, doesn't matter if it's 20 or 30 years old, as long as it's been serviced regularly and the refrigerant levels stay up, you know, you get that regular maintenance, those things can run for a very long time, longer than the ones built today. Today, they're built for 10 to 15 years life expectancy. Back in the day, they were 20 to 25. So every time you replace your roof, you should get a new AC in theory. But these days, I just feel like the quality has really gone down big time on the manufacturing side.
Interesting. This is going to be kind of a setup question,
Oh boy.
and maybe it's for all of the YouTube contractors out there.
Oh boy.
Which I would include myself as one of those sometimes. And you know, I've done a lot of projects on my own. But what's the craziest thing you've seen in a house where you've walked in and you're like, oh my gosh?
Well, there's quite a few instances. Aside from just a dirty house, a rundown house, something that has deferred maintenance screaming all over it.
Sure.
Those are pretty scary situations, and it can become overwhelming,
Like
especially
a hoarder type of situation. Yeah.
and that can be very overwhelming as from the inspector standpoint, because a lot of things may not be accessible. Maybe you can't get to the water heater. I've been in scenarios where the kitchen sink is full of dishes, and those dishes have been there for quite some time. So I think getting into the deferred maintenance areas, that's a given. When you're going into a occupied house to inspect it, you never know what you're going to get. Now, the craziest thing I've ever found was a headstone in the backyard.
Mounted? Like
on the ground, mounted right there, and there was a patch of fake turf in front of it
oh boy.
in the shape of a nice little rectangle. So very confusing. I was just like, this is new. So I've only found one headstone. I'm grateful for that, but it had the full name, date of birth, everything. So I don't know if the clients buying the house were aware that there was a headstone in the back, but afterwards I definitely let them know.
Well, a headstone typically indicates that someone's buried there. And I did see a random thing one time where it was like create a tax shelter and like bury a relative in the
Oh,
backyard.
interesting.
So maybe it had something to do
something
with
to do with
that.
that.
You know, it all of a sudden becomes a tax exempt cemetery. I don't know if that's a thing. Don't comment on that. Maybe it is a thing. And now I'm going to probably get tagged in a whole bunch of stuff on that.
Yeah, but just like pool and spas, headstones are not included in your residential
Okay, no
your resale
headstone.
inspection.
Well,
It's an added item.
we'll
So
leave that to the undertaker. What is the best advice you as a home inspector could give to someone that said, hey, if you go and do this to your house this weekend, something you could do, what would that be?
my biggest concern always is plumbing fixtures. Anything that can cause a leak, is leaking, could potentially leak in the near future. Those are things that I would go around the house, check all your angle stops underneath the sinks, make sure all your plumbing fixtures are tight, make sure you don't have any leaks that you can't see. Because more often than not, there is a leak somewhere in the house and people don't know it. It's going to run up your water bill. It's going to damage cabinets. It can cause the potential for microbial growth, which can lead to black mold, things like that, which can cause respiratory illness. And those are silent killers. You don't see that in the walls. So just one little leaky angle stop could cause serious health issues. So I think the most important thing for a homeowner to do this week is to go around and just inspect all of their plumbing in the house, make sure everything is snug and tight, no corrosion. If there is, either hire a handyman to repair it or a plumber, and just get ahead of that potential issue before it becomes one.
Yeah. Or take to YouTube and see how good of a solderer you are.
Try it first and then call the professional.
Yeah, there you go. I kind of have a rule. This kind of, I mean, it's on topic. I have a rule. I don't do any plumbing on a Friday, Saturday, or Sunday.
Okay.
At my house.
Why is that?
What? Because if I screw up, then I'm going to have to call a plumber who's already expensive.
Yeah.
And now it becomes an emergency call. And if I've got a guy there on Saturday afternoon, my wife is going to just stare at me and she won't say a word.
You know, that's valuable input, and I like that you learn from your mistakes.
Yeah, that is true. Andy, what is the best way for someone to find you?
We have our website at www.azgsi.co. You can also find us on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook. But I think our biggest pusher out there for as far as marketing and social media goes is our TikTok platform. We get a lot of traction on that platform, and I think the reason for that being is that it shows our process to the T. So the proof is in the pudding. Well, the TikTok page is full of pudding. So you can scroll through all the pudding and see it, taste it for yourself. You know exactly what you're going to receive when you call us for an inspection.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Andy Avila, Arizona Gold Standard Inspections. I really appreciate you coming by.
Thank you very much.
I learned a tremendous amount today, and I hope the viewers did as well.
I appreciate it, and I hope that some of that gave insight. If there are any realtors who want to learn more, or anyone who wants to learn more about new builds, I entice you to reach out to us. Even if you're not looking for a home inspection, we're always happy to answer questions.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Andy.
Thank you, Casey.
Appreciate it. If you'd like to be featured on Casey's Corner, please let me know. Like, subscribe, share this video, all that social media stuff. Thanks very much. Have a great week.